August 12, 2000, the Barents Sea. 23 badly injured men are trapped in a freezing, pitch-black steel coffin, 354 feet below the surface. No light, no rescue, no hope. This was the worst nightmare come true for the crew of the Russian nuclear submarine Kursk. What led to this disaster when Kursk was previously cited as indestructible? Which impossible dilemmas did the men have after their initial survival? And why did it take days for the rescue team to arrive? Stay tuned and find out. The Kursk was a kick-ass Typhoon-class submarine, renowned for its strength and advanced technology. It had recently won a citation for its excellent performance and was recognized as having the best submarine crew in the Northern Fleet. But no one could have foreseen the catastrophic events that were about to unfold. The crew of the Kursk was a tight-knit group, a mix of experienced officers and young sailors, all fully dedicated to their duty. Among them was a seasoned and highly respected leader, Captain 𝐬𝐮𝐬𝐫𝐞, and his second-in-command, Captain Lieutenant Dmitry Kolesnikov. On the morning of August 12th, Kursk prepared for a routine naval exercise. Its crew, 118 strong, stood ready, confident in their training and their ship's capabilities. But in an instant, everything changed. At 11:29 a.m., a violent explosion ripped through the Kursk, and just 2 minutes later, another one. But this one was 250 times stronger than the previous one, equivalent to 2 to 3 tons of TNT, and could be felt as far as in Alaska. Submarine 𝐟𝐨𝐫𝐫 detected the explosion, but the captain assumed that it was just part of the naval exercise of the day and didn't suspect anything. Meanwhile, an unimaginable nightmare folded on Kursk. A faulty torpedo had now detonated, igniting a chain reaction that tore through the front of the submarine. The men in the torpedo and control rooms were instantly killed, among them Captain 𝐬𝐮𝐬𝐫𝐞. Just over 2 minutes later, another set of explosions destroyed compartment 4 and killed everyone in the next 3 compartments. Miraculously, the nuclear reactors shut down safely to prevent a nuclear disaster. This is one of the few positive things that happened amidst the tragedy. Twisted metal, shattered equipment, and the lifeless bodies of comrades surrounded the few who remained. 23 crew members, including Captain Lieutenant Dmitry Kolesnikov, managed to find their way to the 9th compartment, the last section of the submarine that also had the escape hatch. Here's the first impossible dilemma. Using the escape trunk would have meant the risk of decompression sickness and probable death when they ascended to the surface. Not using it would have meant waiting at the bottom of the ocean and just hoping not to die. As the water slowly filled the compartment, the pressure built. The survivors knew that opening the escape hatch could lead to a rapid, fatal decompression, but staying put also meant certain death. It was an impossible dilemma. To add to these dilemmas with the escape hatch, the survivors faced a trifecta of deadly threats. Carbon dioxide levels were rising, poisoning the air with every breath. The temperature was dropping rapidly, the icy fingers of the Arctic waters seeping through the hull, and most critically, their oxygen was running out. Captain Lieutenant Dmitry Kolesnikov took charge, his voice steady despite the circumstances. He knew their survival depended on staying calm and rational, but with each passing minute, their chances grew slimmer. In the flickering light of a flashlight, he wrote a note, listing the names of the survivors on one side, and a personal note to his family on the other. "We feel bad, weakened by carbon dioxide. Pressure is increasing in the compartment. If we head for the surface, we won't survive the compression. We won't last more than a day. All personnel from Section 6, 7, and 8 have moved to Section 9. None of us can escape." Their best hope was to wait for rescue. After all, the submarine was relatively close to shore and in the middle of a large naval exercise. But time was running out. As the hours dragged on, the survivors needed to make impossible choices. They had emergency rebreathers, but the cartridges were limited. Every breath could have been their last. Should they use them now and buy a few more hours, or save them for a rescue that might never come? The 9th compartment, once their sanctuary, was slowly becoming their tomb. Cut off from the submarine's nuclear reactors, they had no power for air purification or heating. The cold seeped into their bones as the air grew thicker and more toxic. And then, something unexpected happened when 𝐬𝐮𝐬𝐫 and two others attempted to recharge the oxygen generation system. One of the superoxide cartridges was dropped into the seawater that had slowly been filling the compartment. Another fatal accident was about to happen. While the crew of the Kursk fought for survival in the depths, chaos unfolded on the surface. The Russian Navy, oblivious to the disaster, carried on with their exercises for hours. It wasn't until 6 hours after the explosions that they realized something was terribly wrong. 6 crucial hours were lost as the clock ticked relentlessly for the trapped submariners. For 4 agonizing days, the Russian Navy made repeated unsuccessful attempts to attach 4 different diving bells and submersibles to the escape hatch of the submarine. The world watched in growing horror as the rescue effort stumbled. International offers of help poured in from the UK, Norway, and the US. But in a baffling decision, President Vladimir Putin initially refused all assistance. Pride and secrecy, it seemed, were more important than saving lives. As public outrage reached a fever pitch, the tide began to turn. 5 days after the Kursk sank, President Putin finally accepted offers of assistance from the British and Norwegian governments. It was a tacit admission that Russia's rescue capabilities were woefully inadequate. A stunning 7 days after the accident, British and Norwegian divers finally opened a hatch to the escape trunk in the boat's flooded 9th compartment. The world held its breath, hoping against hope for a miracle. And then the harsh reality sank in. When one of the superoxide cartridges was dropped and it came in contact with the oily water, it triggered yet another explosion and flash fire. 𝐬𝐮𝐬𝐫's abdomen had been burned by acid, exposing his internal organs, and the explosion had stripped the flesh from his head and neck. It's difficult to imagine a more cruel end than this. The investigation showed that some men had temporarily survived this fire by plunging underwater, but the flash fire consumed all remaining oxygen. So the men still alive after the flash explosion had died of anoxia, loss of oxygen in their body's tissues. By the time rescue divers finally opened the compartment, they found only a small air pocket containing just 7% oxygen. It is 3 times less than in the air you are breathing now. It was too late. They found no survivors. Captain Lieutenant 𝐬𝐮𝐬𝐫's final note, written with a trembling hand, read, "It is dark to write, but I will try by feel. It seems there are no chances, 10 to 20%. Let's hope that at least someone will read this. Here is the list of the personnel from the other sections who are now in the 9th and will attempt to escape. Regards to everyone, no need to despair. 𝐬𝐮𝐬𝐫." As investigators pieced together the disaster, a disturbing picture emerged. The cause? A faulty weld in a dummy torpedo which had been dropped several times when in transit. This seemingly minor flaw led to a catastrophic chain of events. The initial explosion was devastating, but it was the second blast that sealed the Kursk's fate. An entire crew, 118 lives, was lost in the silent depths, their voices still echoing for anybody working in these depths. The notes and messages found on their bodies provided a haunting glimpse into their final moments. A top-secret investigation, summarized in a 4-page report, revealed shocking findings. It highlighted stunning breaches of discipline and shoddy, obsolete, and poorly maintained equipment. These systemic issues created a perfect storm of circumstances that led to the Kursk's demise. Even the submarine's emergency systems failed when needed most. The rescue buoy, designed to automatically deploy during an emergency, had been intentionally disabled during a previous mission. This crucial error further complicated rescue efforts, costing precious time as rescuers struggled to locate the stricken vessel. The story of the Kursk is a somber reminder of the dangers faced by those who serve beneath the waves. It is a tale of courage and leadership in the face of overwhelming odds, and a heartbreaking testament to the human spirit's resilience. Thank you for joining me on this journey. If you found this story as powerful and moving as I did, please remember to like, share, and subscribe. Until next time, stay curious, stay safe, and take care of one another.